Well, surely you get a Conference League spot for winning the EFL trophy then.
Yeah, it should be. Yeah, that's how it should. That's how it should work. Cal, if you'd supported Blues, we could have done this every week.
I very much enjoyed the chance of you're just a shit Aston Villa throughout the game. It was great. Well, a broken clock is right twice a day, Dan.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Second City podcast. I'm Daniel Sketchley.
And I'm Callum Byrne.
Happy Sunday, Cal. We don't normally do this on a Sunday afternoon, but the sun is shining. Delighted to be back. And how's things for you? You all good?
Tired. It was a busy week, as we
Same.
said last week. So back from Bruges on Thursday, and yeah, it's really caught up with me the last couple of days. I went to five-a-side on Friday night, and yeah, could really notice that I'd been boozing for 4 days, pretty much. Like after 15 minutes, I was like knackered.
Yeah, same actually. I mean, I've had the weekend off, but I do apologise if I look very tired. To those watching on YouTube, we just went out for a family meal, and then I fell asleep when I got in. So I texted Cal and said, it was like, can we push the pod back an hour? I really need to, really need to catch up. But yes, all good otherwise. We got a bit of a busy episode. Obviously, we're a bit later this week getting this episode out because, as Callum mentioned there, he was in Bruges this week. Him and his dad had a bit of a mad one out in Bruges, I believe, for Villa's Champions League away game. So we're going to cover all that. We're going to cover your main event this week, Cal, which was your other away day, which was your trip to Blues. With Wycombe last week. We'll cover that. I know it was a week ago now, but we'll cover that. The Blues Wycombe game at the top. We're going to talk about I had an away day this week as well, so we'll touch on that.
Yeah.
And then we'll talk about this weekend's games as well. So it's a bit of a full-on episode, but we'll try and get through it all. So let's crack on and let's start where we always do, Cal, with what we're wearing, if that's all good with you.
Let's start with you because you're wearing a
Yeah.
Bayern Munich shirt. That this isn't um
Yes.
this isn't a Bundesliga pod, Dan. So
No, I will explain
what's the
what in a sec
story?
anyway. What's the story? Well, what year do you think it's from, first of all? It's obviously a home T-Mobile shirt, Adidas.
Very red, but red and white. This year is red and black. Little pattern through the front.
Yeah.
I think this is I have a feeling this might be the 2019-2020. I feel like this is the Champions League winning shirt.
Mm.
I think this was a Champions League winning shirt. It's only got 4 stars above the badge, and I'm
It
pretty
has,
sure they've won it
yes.
5 times. So I think this is the year Hansi Flick took them to the Champions League in that really weird like knockout tournament that was in Lisbon with no fans, with a big PSG in the
Absolutely,
final.
absolutely bang on. Well done. 2019-20 Bayern Munich home. Yeah, why am I wearing a Bayern Munich shirt? Great question. The short answer is I forgot to source a Blues shirt for this week. So I haven't got one. Well, I have got one. My cousin Luke has given me one, but I'm going to save it for a couple of weeks because I think it'll be a bit more relevant in a couple of weeks. I'm gonna park that one and bring it back. But also saw in the news this week that it's Bayern Munich's 125th anniversary
It is. Have you
this
seen the
weekend.
shirt?
I haven't. No, is there another one out? Is it a
So
classic?
they've obviously got an anniversary shirt, and it is a
Oh,
beaut,
nice.
an absolute beaut.
Oh, fair enough. Fair enough. I might have to check that out. Obviously the game itself to mark the 125th anniversary didn't go that well. They lost. I think they lost 2-1 to Bochum, I believe it's pronounced, in the Bundesliga at home. But they're still well on course to win the league this year, so I'm sure they'll do just fine. Harry Kane's on course for his first trophy. But yeah, 2019-20 home Bayern Munich shirt. My folks got me this when they went to Germany 5 or 6 years ago. It is a beauty of a kit, a bit like the Real Madrid one I wore
Yeah.
uh, a month ago. They just added as classic. I love this. I love like the sort of it's almost a red out. All this, the stripes are all in red and everything. Looks great. Really, for them. They won the front of the FA Cup, which is it's called the DFB Pokal. I apologise if I'm butchering the pronunciation of that. Pokal. They also won the Bundesliga, and yes, they won the Champions League, as you mentioned. But it was that weird. This is really weird. This is the 1920 kit, but obviously the season got curtailed in like March or April. So it wasn't until they did that like mini tournament at the end, didn't they?
Yeah,
So they
yeah,
won
yeah.
it like they won the Champions League in like August. It was like a never-ending season. I actually got this kit. I think they started wearing this kit early in the previous, like towards the end of the
They
previous
probably
season
wore it
as
in the
well.
last home game of the previous
Yeah,
season or something. Yeah.
because I actually got this. My folks got me this in like I think it was the May of 2019. So, but they didn't win the Champions League for another like what would it be,
More,
15, 16
yeah,
months?
15, 16 months. Yeah.
So yeah, they might not actually have worn this kit for that. I wouldn't have been surprised if they wore the next season shirt for that. But it was this season. Won the league as well. Lewandowski, their top scorer in all competitions with 55 goals. And obviously they had that iconic in the Champions League there, that iconic 8-2 win over Barcelona as well, which was I think everyone remembers where they were watching that if they were
Yeah.
watching it. And yeah, it was Hansi
My
Flick
favourite
who
fact
also.
from my favourite fact from that 8-2 win was obviously Philippe Coutinho scored twice for Bayern Munich on loan from Barcelona
Why did they let him play though as well? That's so arrogant on
because they thought he was
Barcelona.
rubbish, probably.
That's mental. I mean, to be fair, when Blues played Villa, I remember in a derby a few years ago, and Gary Gardner was on loan uh, at Blues from Villa, and apparently Blues asked Villa if he could play, and I'm sure Villa thought Gary Gardner was rubbish, but they still said no,
Yeah.
which is probably the sensible thing to do. Um, but yeah, the only weird thing I was looking through this season as well. So yeah, you mentioned Hansi Flick was the manager, and he was. He took over in the November from Niko Kovac, and I was trying to work out why Bayern Munich changed manager in November, and I really don't know why. If you look through the results, they look like they were doing pretty fine to me when they got rid of Kovac, so I'm not fully sure what happened there. But yeah, lovely kit, great season in Bayern's history, and I thought if I ain't got a blue shirt this week, this is as good a week as any to get the Bayern shirt on. So yeah, Bayern Munich 2019-20 home, lovely.
I did
Uh,
get the memo this week, and I did wear an Aston Villa shirt.
oh,
So,
steady on. Oh, I don't. We'll be back soon. Don't worry, blue shirts will be back soon. Um, you're wearing an away shirt, Dafabet sponsor Macron kit
yeah,
maker. It's like a white shirt with like a few claret pinstripes.
it's a it was a
Uh,
modern remake of a famous shirt.
Not that famous because I can't think of it. It
Well,
probably
you
is.
say that,
Well, no, I
Dan.
know what you mean.
It's the remake of the European Cup winning shirt.
Oh. We won't mention who you beat in the final.
Oh yeah.
Uh, I'm gonna guess. Well, it must have been an anniversary then, probably. You won the cup in. It's a long time ago, 1982. Um,
Steady on now.
Blade Runner was number one at the box office, probably. That's how long ago it was. So I'm going to guess it was an anniversary of that. So I'm going to say the 2012. Although, it must be. Yeah, that's going to be my guess. The 11-12 away kit. So like 40 years, 40th anniversary would be my guess.
Well, that would have been 30 years for a start, but because we just had the
Oh yeah,
40th
sorry.
anniversary a few years ago.
Oh, of course. Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Sorry, bad
but
maths. Yeah.
you're still a way out. So this was the
Am I?
2014-2015 away shirt.
Okay.
They just did a modern remake. No anniversary, I don't think. And do you celebrate like 35th anniversary or something?
That's not even that. It's like 33
No,
to avoid
yeah,
one.
they just did it one year. So, but obviously, when the 40th
Mm.
anniversary rolled around, it meant we had another remake of the kit not too long after
Oh, of
this one.
course. Yeah.
Um, it's obviously the year that we got to the FA Cup final in
Oh, yeah,
2015.
of course. Yeah.
So that's kind of why I got it on the pod, is because we're kind of, we had the FA Cup draw. Don't think we'd played the Cardiff game before we had. No,
No, yeah.
yeah, we hadn't played it
Last episode.
in the last episode, so we're obviously into the quarterfinals. We're starting to maybe getting a bit excited, maybe about potential semi-final at Wembley, which shouldn't be at Wembley, but that's another topic for another day.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I thought we'd get it on. A really kind of not a great season. Had its moments, particularly in the FA Cup. Paul Lambert started the season as manager. He got sacked in about the January, February, and Tim Sherwood took over. And we had a very good bounce under Tim Sherwood, and he guided us to safety. Took us to the FA Cup final where we went into that game in really poor form. We obviously, I think wearing this shirt, we lost 6-1 away at Southampton in the penultimate game of the season. Sadio Mane scored the fastest hat trick in Premier League history. And then we lost on the final day to already relegated Burnley, where future Villa player Danny Ings got the only goal of the match. And then we went and got battered in the final, where
Yeah, I
I
remember.
don't think we had a shot. Could have had two penalties, but we didn't have a shot. So
Arsenal were very on it that day, though, weren't they? To be fair, I don't think many teams would have beaten
yeah,
them that day.
they were unplayable. Alexis Sanchez was unreal. He scored a great goal
It was
in the
very
second half.
un-Arsenal of that time, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
They didn't often turn in a performance that complete in like the
Well,
mid
like
2010s.
it was obviously they won back-to-back FA Cups. The FA Cup the year before, they almost lost to Hull. They needed extra
Yeah,
time to beat Hull. And I think, if we'd have played that Arsenal, we maybe might have got something on the day, although we weren't very good.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, they were unplayable that day. The one win that really stands out in this particular shirt was away at Crystal Palace. We won 1-0. Christian Benteke scored a brilliant goal, picked the ball up on the halfway line and just like ran down the wing, cut inside and just curled it past the goalkeeper. Great goal. Um, but yeah, again, as I said, a mixed season, but a lovely kit, even though a lot of our Macron kits weren't the best quality and they have not aged well in terms of how they've done. Pretty much all the sponsors on them are like cracked and falling off, but lovely shirt.
Nice. Cool. Let's get into the games then. Shall we
We've got lots of
start?
away days to talk about. This is an away days podcast.
Yeah, it really is. Big up the away days. Shall we talk about? Let's go back then. So we will get on to everything that happened this weekend. We're recording this on the Sunday, the 9th of March. Yes. But let's go back because we obviously did last week's episode was more on like the Thursday and so on. Let's go back to last weekend then. Blues, should we start with Blues because you were there as well? So
Yes.
it was your first time ever at St Andrews.
I was going to say I
Why were
was
you there?
undercover, but I wasn't undercover really because I was
No,
at the
no,
away end.
no. Although I did have to did take you on the walk from New Street up to the ground. That was very odd. I was like, Cal, if you'd supported Blues, we could have done this every week, you know. But no, no, you had to choose the dark side. Um,
I didn't choose, I was chosen, Dan. Just kind of how you were. It's just how it
yeah,
goes.
very true, very true. But yeah, why did we go, Cal? Why did you come to St Andrews?
Obviously, as we mentioned a few times on the pod, and like we did maybe a second League One game week of the season, I live down in Wycombe. I have a Wycombe ticketing account. I go to a couple of games. And so we bagged away tickets to go to St Andrews. It didn't clash with the Villa game because the Villa Cardiff was on the Friday night. And so I did one of the best stadiums in Birmingham on Friday, and then probably one of the worst on the Saturday. And
I do apologise. We probably should have started with the Cardiff game because I forgot that was the night before. But we'll come back to that in a minute.
but yeah, we'll come back
Um,
to it.
yeah,
But yeah, no, you know what? I've never been to St Andrews, never been able to get a ticket for an away Second City derby. So I'd never been. The chances of me getting a ticket for a Second City derby, well, bearing in mind it's not going to happen unless we get you in the cup. It's not going to happen for at least a year, probably more than that. So
yeah,
why not? And I tell you what. So I spoke a few weeks ago. I went to Goodison in the Bournemouth away end a few weeks ago in the FA Cup fourth round, and it was one of the worst away atmospheres was terrible. The Wycombe away end was amazing. I absolutely loved it. It was a really good away day, and it's just a shame about the result. I think even not that it really mattered the result for me. I was just there to enjoy the
yeah,
day. But I think if a goal had gone in, it would have been mega. And
yeah. I think it's
I very much enjoyed the chance of you're just a shit Aston Villa throughout the game. It was great.
no doubt you joined in on that one.
Oh yeah, as soon as they started, I was like leaning over the
Ah,
safe stand and going for it. It was great.
they all sing it. You know, nothing special. Um, but it was yeah. Obviously, for context, it was first v second in League One as well, and the mood was very much if Blues won,
That was the
it's
title.
kind of probably the title done pretty much. I mean, not no. Obviously, we'll get into midweek and like maybe things got a little bit. You know, obviously there's been a few games since, but I think it was very much the day Blues won the title. Yeah, it was obviously won
Yeah.
1-0. First off goal from Taylor Gardner-Hickman. We'd actually had a goal ruled out for offside just before that. But then we got a goal just after. What did you
Awful
think of the goal,
goalkeeping.
Kelsey? It's a long ball from Ryan
Awful
Allsop.
goalkeeping.
It was bad goalkeeping. It was. So like Allsop's put a let's give credit where it's due though. It's an unreal ball through from Allsop to Gardner Hickman. He's brought it on his chest and caught it on the volley and caught it quite cleanly, but the keeper
But it's
has
straight at the
got a
goalie.
palm on it and it's sort of spiraled behind him and looped in. And we obviously that would have been down your end of the pitch.
Yeah, yeah.
From where we were, it looked like it felt like it took forever to bobble in.
Oh, it did. It's
But it
same,
eventually
same.
did. And then the second half,
And
yeah,
there was a red
second
card
half,
just
Wycombe
before
had a
half
few
time as
chances,
well.
few close calls. Oh, of course, yeah, of course. What's his name? Xavi Simon? No, Xavi Simons isn't him. Something like that.
It's very
Simmons?
similar. It's
I
very,
can't
very,
remember.
very similar to Xavi Simmons.
Yeah. Wycombe's number seven, anyway, got sent off for taking out Ethan Laird on the right wing, right on the verge of half time as well. Which meant the second half was Wycombe did have a few chances, but it was very much like a lot of games we've had since the turn of the year where we've won 1-0. More on that later. 1-0 at home. But yeah, I'll take it. It wasn't the most exciting game in the world. Not weirdly, like for a game that was first v second and that we played well in, um, like atmosphere not kind of fits and starts, not amazing at times. I think it's just because the style of play
Yeah.
doesn't lend itself to like 90 minutes of. It's not ferocious football, is it? A lot of the time.
No, I get what
Um,
you're saying, and I agree on all counts really, because I thought I was actually a bit underwhelmed with the atmosphere at St
yeah.
Andrews, as well as the away end atmosphere was amazing. But then again,
Mm.
I spoke about it with the Villa atmosphere maybe at the start of January. You know, if there's nothing happening on the pitch, you're not going to get this like incredible atmosphere like you get sometimes under
Yeah.
the lights for a big
Uh,
game.
yeah, I think it's a bit of a myth that like. I've been to stadiums where it's meant to be the greatest thing you've ever seen, atmosphere wise, and it's kind of flat where we are.
Yeah.
It's, I think it's very much where you are and the occasion of it. I guarantee you could go to Anfield and it'd be, you could sit in parts of the stadium and it'd be flat.
Well, it depends
Probably
what game.
yesterday when they played
If you go to
Southampton.
their Champions League game with
Exactly.
PSG next week, it's going to be electric.
Exactly.
If you go to when
Yeah, exactly.
they play Southampton at home yesterday, it's probably going to be
1-0 down at
rubbish.
Southampton. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. No, exactly. Yeah, but look, we won. That's all that mattered. We had a good day out afterwards as well with a few mates, so that was nice as well. So yeah, Blues, we won. That was all that mattered really in the end. Not like iconic game, kind of like a lot of our games, as I say, this season, but glad for the 3 points, huge 3 points in the grand scheme of things as we look to get out of the get into the championship for next year, I should say. Cool. We'll dial it back to Villa in a second. Obviously, you played Cardiff and then your away trip to Bruges and so on. A very exotic away day of my own whilst you were in Bruges, Cal. I
Yeah.
last minute went up to well, kind of last minute went up to Bolton for an away day on Tuesday night, which was uh, a strange one. I don't know. You've been
Yeah.
to Bolton before, haven't you?
I haven't. No.
Oh, haven't you?
Uh,
Oh, sorry. Oh, I thought you had. Yeah. Look, not a stadium I'd been to before. So that was like a motivating factor. Me and my mate George went up. I drove up as well. Never driven up that way. So let's talk about good things from that day. Uh, Steal of a parking space. It was so near the ground. I was like, if anyone knows it, the train station's right opposite. And I was like, right opposite the away end. And I was like, there was just a space there. And we were like, I mean, we better find somewhere soon, otherwise we'll miss kickoff. And I was certain I was going to come back with a parking ticket because it all felt too good to be true. No parking ticket, big win in that sense. But then otherwise, everything on the pitch was a bit of a disaster. Nice stadium for starters. It was a cool stadium. Bolton fans made a good atmosphere. But we looked really. It was. I don't know if it was a big game at the weekend and just February being Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday, Tuesday, and it's still going Saturday, Tuesday. Until the international break,
And
really.
the injuries are piling up a little bit.
They are, they are. Oh, and obviously the one thing with the Wycombe game was Ryan Allsop went off injured as well. So we had to play Bailey Peacock-Farrell in goal. And at the start of the season, Chris Davies had talked about like a live goalkeeper competition between them two. That's just not happened at all. Ryan Allsop, since he got into the team, is a lot of people. Any Blues fans listening to this, they know anyway, so I don't really need to pile on Peacock-Farrell, but Ryan Allsop's a much better keeper. Much more confident, much more assured, much more commanding of his area, and the outfield players clearly trust him more. I'm not saying Peacock Farrell doesn't have a place in a League One team somewhere, but I don't think it's with us, and I wouldn't be shocked if we've seen the last of him. My logic being, we went 1-0 up. Emil Hansen got his first goal for the club. That was nice, and from there we looked. First half hour we were pretty good, and then about 10 minutes before half time, 5 or 10 minutes before half time, James McAtee scores to make it 1-1. Beats Peacock Farrell at his near post. We end up losing the game 3-1. Second half, Bolton were all over us. Um, and it was I don't know. It was the first time we really felt like we had no ideas. And to put it into context, the importance of the keeper. So we our last. This was our first loss in the league in I think 19 games, which is remarkable. Longest unbeaten run in the league in my lifetime for sure. Um, Brian Allsop since our last loss, which was away at Shrewsbury on I think November 23rd. From then to before the Bolton game, how many goals in the league do you think we'd conceded in that time, Cal? In those 19 games, how many goals do you think we conceded?
You kept quite a lot of clean sheets, didn't you?
Yeah.
Uh, 7?
Four. We conceded 4 goals in like 3.5 months. Um, but then Bailey Pickett Farrell concedes 3 in like an hour, which is not amazing. Um, So there's a clear difference there. But credit to Bolton, I thought they were excellent. I thought they pressed us really well. Loads of energy, good home crowd. I thought one of the louder, talk about atmospheres earlier, they're one of the louder home crowds I've seen. Um, so it's a poor performance, and then then it's a long old drive back to Birmingham and so on. But can't complain too much. It was an off night. We haven't had many of them, and by law of averages, 46 games, you're gonna lose a few. I think Wolves, who currently hold the points record in League One for 2013, I think it was when they got 2013-14 when they got promoted, they still lost 5 games that year. We've lost 3, and we're nearing the end of the season now. So it was always going to happen at some point. So yeah, not a dream performance at all. And yeah, the first time Chris Davies didn't really seem to know. The subs didn't really seem to make any impact. But look, one of them, it happens. And we said no problem, move on to the weekend, which we'll touch on later. So yeah, that was my away day. What about you? You had a pretty eventful week before that though, didn't you?
Yeah,
With
so
your other.
it all started on the Friday night for the Cardiff game in the FA Cup. So as I mentioned earlier, we won, we're through. Cardiff were very stubborn. Um, but we got through. We got there in the end. Marco Asensio scored twice, and Anwar El Ghazi got a really nice reception, as did Callum Robinson. But I don't think many people realise that there's quite a lot of fans that didn't realise he played for us. Whereas
Yeah,
El
I
Ghazi
didn't tell you
was,
said it the other week. Yeah.
yeah, and Callum Chambers I think had a knock and so wasn't in the squad and didn't go at all. So, but it was really nice because El Ghazi never got to say goodbye at Aston Villa. Steven Gerrard just kind of chucked him out and threw him in the bin. Um, like he wanted to do with lots of our fan favorite players and a lot of good players. It's Steven Gerrard all over. So that was really nice. And we got Preston away in the quarterfinals of the FA Cup. So there's a really good chance. And you look at the teams left in it, this is probably the best chance we've ever had since we last won the FA Cup to win the FA Cup again.
Yeah.
Um,
Man
you
United
know,
out now as well.
Man United are out. Obviously everyone will look at Manchester City and go, well, they're maybe the favourites for it, but they're not formidable and they're not as scary as they
They're
maybe
not what they
were
were. No.
a year ago, let
Yeah.
alone 2 or 3 years ago, or like when we played them in the League Cup final in 2020. Um, Granted, by the time the FA Cup final rolls around, should we get there and should Manchester City get there, probably have Rodri back. So preferably we get them knocked out. And to be honest, if they do get knocked out, like I think we were maybe the most. There's like 3 or 4 teams that have never won the FA Cup, and I think we're one of the more recent teams to have won it out of the
Yeah.
ones that are left. And we last won it in '57,
Yeah.
so it's the most open FA Cup there's been in a long, long, long time. Um, and it's nice to be a part of it
Well,
for
it's going to
now.
be the first one that's not. Well, I suppose we had the Leicester one a few years ago, but even at the time they were kind of a better team. It's going to be the
Yeah,
first one in quite a long time where it's not 2 of the top 6 or 7 in it, but it's going to be at least one team from outside. I know you're up there, but like you're not one of the traditional big 6, if you know what I mean.
no,
But
no,
as it is, so yeah,
yeah. So we'll see how that plays out in a couple of weeks. So yeah, but then obviously Monday morning then got the Eurotunnel to Bruges. I think I mentioned this last week. My tickets for the second leg were going on sale on Monday as well. And originally when we booked the shuttle, it clashed with when the tickets went on sale. So rearranged the shuttle. We were going at 7 o'clock in the morning. We'll be in France, and we were going to drive down to Dunkirk, and then I was going to buy the tickets, and then we're going to have a lovely day. Shuttle was delayed by an hour and a half, meaning that we did not leave Folkestone until 10 to 9. Tickets went on sale at 9:30, and we arrived in France at 25 past 9. So it was really close. I
mm,
did get 2 tickets for the second leg, thankfully. But that was one of the most stressful train journeys I've ever had.
yeah,
But yeah, I had a lovely drive through France into Bruges, in the bar, the Irish bar Delaney's, and on Monday night met Mark Brighton, which was
yeah,
great,
yeah, yeah.
lovely
You're
guy.
saying, mm,
Um, and then Saturday, we also went to the ground on the Monday because we were pretty sure we weren't going to get tickets in the home end, unfortunately. So there was no way we were going to be able to go to the ground on match day just to see the ground. So we did that on Monday, had a look around the club shop.
nice.
Um, Tickets had sold out maybe 15, 20 minutes before we got there. Um, Having said that, they probably wouldn't have sold them to us anyway. And I'd kind of already accepted by that point because they changed their ticketing criteria. So, fair enough, is what it is. We went fully knowing that we probably weren't going to go to the game anyway.
It's not
Um,
it's not the whole thing though, is it? It's the whole
no,
experience that you're there for and so on.
exactly. And so we spent a bit of Tuesday morning walking around Bruges, taking some of the sights. And then Saturday afternoon, we were in the big square, the Mark, uh, in Bruges, and there was just Villa fans everywhere. There was flags up. We put our big flag off one of these museum buildings, the biggest flag I've ever seen. It's giant Union Jack with I think was it Yenton Villa on it. Was hanging off one of
Tainting
them.
a beautiful city like Bruges in
Yeah, I think,
with
but there
this.
must we only had an allocation of 1,400 tickets, and there was must have been at least 3,000 Villa fans there.
Hmm.
Um, Obviously we were some of the ticketless fans that were there, and the atmosphere was great. There was people, lots of drinking in the square. There's footballs being booted around, and it was just a really great atmosphere. A really great atmosphere. God knows what some of the tourists who were
I
there
was
they
gonna
had
say,
no
yeah,
idea
I had
that there
no
was a
idea,
football
yeah.
match was on, and walked into the square, and it was just like I
Yeah.
don't want to say chaos because there was nothing crazy,
Well,
but
The British aren't known for their accommodating nature when they take over these sort of places, are
let
they?
alone
On an
footy
away day.
fans.
Yeah, exactly. Well, no, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, we then went. We thought right, we need to go to the pub. Just make sure we get a good spot in front of the telly so we can see the game. And
Sorry,
bless
continue.
you. And
Thank you.
and then we saw Ian Taylor, so we had a picture with Ian Taylor and the big flag. And yeah, went and watched the game in the pub. 3-1 probably flatters us a little bit.
Hmm.
But hey, we've had a lot of things, I don't want to say, we've had our fair share of bad luck this year and fair share of things not go really going our way, and so it was quite nice that it did on that day, and we're in a really strong position going into the second leg on Wednesday. Um, but the game is not over, and
Hmm.
you know we've got to make sure we go and get the job done. And yeah, I think Villa Park will be really, really good on Wednesday night, and I do think we'll get over the line now. So, but yeah, Marco Asensio scored again from the penalty spot. Um, Leon Bailey scored. That was a surprise. Because
Hmm.
I tell you what, when the team sheet came out and everyone in the pub went Bailey, a real
Yeah.
shock in there. But he played all right on in Bruges. Not so much yesterday, but yeah, really happy, and it was a great trip. And then we saw Michael Brighton again in the pub later on, and so
It's a
um,
sign. It's a
it's
sign.
a sign.
Come on
Yeah,
the pod, Mark.
come on the pod, come on the pod, Mark.
Um,
Um,
what was your view of the actual game like? Did you just watch it in the bar? Were you actually able to see it cleanly and stuff?
yeah, yeah, perfect view because we were there early enough. The bar was kind of split into like 2 or 3 levels, and so we went
Hmm.
up onto kind of like the first floor.
Like a big screen, sort of.
Yeah,
Yeah,
literally slap bang in front of the telly.
nice.
Um, and yeah, so
Perfect. That's my only
stressful
concern
watching it
ever
on the
with like,
telly.
with like a Euros game or something. The reason I'm normally mad on going out to watch it is like, well, I actually want to see the game. Like if
Yeah, yeah.
it's, but if you got a good view, then that's a big
And
help.
that's why we went early. Is like we've got to get there early enough,
Yeah.
earlier than you kind of want to go, just to
Yeah.
get a spot. But yeah, it is a weird experience. But the pub was just full of Villa fans. We'd all travelled all the way to Bruges to watch it on the telly, but it was great, and the
Nice,
atmosphere in the
nice.
square after the game was great as well.
Yeah. Fair enough. I mean, Blues won at Bruges like what, 14 years ago, so you've caught up eventually. But
Yeah,
no, it should be an interesting second leg anyway, and obviously one foot in the quarterfinals, you might say. It's just about getting the job done now, really. But yeah, I'm glad to hear you had a good trip. I went up when I was in Bolton. I actually don't think I knew. Did I know what the Villa score was going in? And I
we
was
were
like,
the early
oh,
kickoff, so probably.
I think I might have done, yeah. And it was like leaving Bolton. I was like, oh, and Villa won in the Champions League. It's not a great
Yeah.
night, not a great night for us all round. Um,
I did have some incredible beers in Bruges. We went into one
oh yeah,
bar.
any Leffe? Did you have any Leffe? That's
Uh,
Belgian, isn't it?
yeah, we were mostly drinking Zot, I think it was. So that's like 6%, which is strong enough. But we met a Crystal Palace fan. Don't know why he was out there. And he said, "Oh, you got to go to this bar. I come to Bruges all the time. Go to this bar and have the house beer." So we did. We went like maybe a couple of hours later. We saw him in there. He'd roped a couple of other Villa fans into it as well, and yeah, probably one of the best beers I've ever had. Done it was amazing, but it was 10.5%. So
Hello.
one was enough. They won't sell you more than three of them while you're there,
Wow. Blimey.
because it's that strong. Not that you would want three. One was like more than enough. Like we'd had a couple of beers in the day already. We had that one. I was like, right, I need some food.
Yeah. What's the photo I saw you on, is it on Instagram that you were holding two of them? Was that stuff? No, it can't have been,
No,
surely. No, no.
no.
Yeah, I did see that. I
Um,
was like, oof,
yeah, but that's the Zot, so that's 6%. And the
blimey.
glasses in that bar all had tags on them, so you can't nick the glass.
Oh, that's a shame. Yeah, it's a
Not that we
bad
would.
combo. Like, no, of course, it's a bad combo. Like 3,000 British football fans and 10% beer. It's not gonna end too well. A limit's probably a good idea. Yeah.
Yeah, but a great trip. And I'm glad, even though we didn't go to the game, it's something me and Dad had talked about is we might not ever be in the we might never see us in the Champions League again. We've got to go to one of the away days and just soak
Oh
it
yeah.
all up. And so yeah, that's ticked off the list now.
Yeah, my biggest regret as a Blues fan, not regret because it was circumstantial, I was only like a teenager at the time, but I never went to one of the European away games when we were in Europe. So I'll have to wait a couple more years before we're back, I suppose, back in Europe.
Well,
Um,
surely you get a Conference League spot for winning the EFL trophy now.
yeah, it should be. Yeah, that's how it should. That's how it should work. They want to spruce it up. That they want to make the EFL Trophy a big deal. Give it a Europa Conference League spot. That's a
A
great idea.
playoff,
You know what it should be?
a first round playoff.
FA Cup winner should go in the Champions League. League Cup winner should go in the Europa League. EFL Trophy winner should go in the Conference League. That's what it should be. That would be class. Who won it last year?
Well, I mean, like Wrexham,
Peterborough.
is it Wrexham, Swansea, and Cardiff want to play in the
Well, they won
Welsh
a
Cup to
Welsh
get
Cup purely so they can qualify for
and play in
Europe. Yeah,
Europe.
which
Yeah,
yeah, I'm not
in
sure.
which
I'm not
case,
too sure
I'd
about.
rather them give the first round playoff for the EFL trophy.
Imagine like full under 21s in in the
Yeah,
Europa
that's
Conference
when you'd
League.
see all the under 21 teams taking it on
Oh yeah,
really
they'd take it
seriously.
seriously then. Yeah, blimey, that'd be quality. Not being dead serious, 'cause that's never going to happen in a million years. But I'm glad you had a good away trip, Cal. Anyway, sounds like it was a little bit better than mine, but anyway,
Yeah.
sound. Shall we move on to this weekend then? Bring it into the present day.
Yes, so now we can talk really recently because it was literally
Yes,
yesterday.
literally yesterday.
Um,
Yeah.
do you want to do your? You played at 3 o'clock, didn't you? I assume.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did. So Blues. I mentioned at Bolton, we had a bit of a blip at Bolton. Did all the hard work, but we had a result against Wycombe, which we were like, that's it, that's the title done. Then we lose a game. Maybe the players thought that the title was done as well in their heads, and Wycombe, I think, won that night as well. So results went against us basically because we lost. But kind of normal order was restored yesterday, pretty much, with a 1-0 home win against Lincoln, our second of 2025 against them, because obviously we had them in the FA Cup third round back in January when Lyndon Dykes scored that amazing goal. And I knew kind of by 2 o'clock on the train in it was going to be a better day because I saw team sheet, Ryan Allsop back in the team. I was like, amazing. And then on the bench, Keshi Anderson was back, Mark Leonard was back, and Keshi actually got on the pitch as well. So yeah, encouraging signs, especially ahead of the Wembley trip, that a few players are coming back from injury. And yeah, another, I mentioned earlier about kind of 1-0ing our way to the title to the end of the season, and this was another one yesterday. Although Lincoln made hard work of it, they set up, defended really stubbornly against us, and they had 11 men on the pitch for the whole thing, which helped. And we just couldn't break them down for ages. We did in the end get a 70th minute penalty, which KIERAN Dowell scored. Amazing penalty as well, top right corner, perfect penalty. So that put us back on top. Wycombe dropped points as well yesterday. Wrexham
They
won,
did.
so they're now level with Wycombe on points, but it's all looking very healthy still. We're on 79 points now. On course to get 106 or 107 points at the moment. So the records, the EFL record is 106. So that's still in our sights. But no, yeah, a pretty comfortable day. Not a great performance, but the only thing I think I'll look back on this season, a lot of these games are going to blur into one. In like the last month, we had a 1-0 against obviously Lincoln, the 1-0 against Wycombe, a 1-0 against Charlton, a 2-0 against Leyton Orient, all at home. I can see it all blurring into one a bit in the near future, especially when the games have all been so similar.
Yeah.
But credit to the players, I thought Iwata was absolutely immense, and I think the quality of Ryan Allsop really shows. He's not one who has to make a million amazing saves in a game, but just the confidence in the team is so clear when he's there in the way that it's not with Peacock Farrell. Um, But what I wanted to talk about the main thing with this game, and I'd be interested to hear if you experience this at games. And I'm not just saying this is Lincoln or teams that visit us that do this, because Blues do this as well, have done this as well. There's a new trend we've noticed this season. It's not just me; everyone's noticed it, and I don't at Blues games, and it needs to be gone. It needs to go away. I'm not happy with it, and it's this thing, and it's really weak refereeing as well. It's this trend of in each half, about halfway through each half, a keeper just having a lie down and being like, "Oh, I'm injured," or the rest like physio, you come on. And as soon as they do that, all the players run off and have a team talk on the side of the pitch. Does this happen in any of your games, or is this a lower league thing?
Uh, so there's been a drinks break at least in the Premier League for the last couple of weeks because of Ramadan, and so players that are
Okay,
fasting are having like a drinks break. But I not something I've particularly noticed, but I
okay,
do remember Southampton under Ralph Hasenhüttl a couple of years ago. I think it was back for about 8 or 9, a really long stretch of time. It was about 10 games, maybe even more. Around the 65th minute, a player would go down
yep,
injured, and they'd have like a mini team talk midway through the second half. That was a
yeah,
real thing. I remember the Athletic did like a real piece on it.
yeah.
Um, and yeah, I agree.
This is
But how do
absolutely
you
that.
stop it? Because if a
There needs
player's injured,
Sure, there needs to be some sort of like, but it's so bad, and it has occasionally been outfield players, but it tends to be keepers. And again, I reiterate, it's Blues have done it at times this season as well, and I just
I
don't
get the thing
like
is,
it.
the thing is, if it was an outfield player, they got to go off the pitch for 30 seconds, which they've started enforcing really rigorously. I've noticed in the Premier
Yes,
League,
yeah,
especially when we played West Ham, like they kept Max Kilman off the pitch for a good, maybe not a minute, but it was a good 30 seconds.
mm.
But a keeper, you can't do that.
But it's like it's so like there was a long stretch of the game yesterday with the Lincoln in the first half with the Lincoln keeper, the ball had gone nowhere near him, and then he's like as I sit down, and it's literally like right on cue. All the players bolt off for a team talk, and fair play to Ryan. I hate saying fair play, but Ryan Allsop. I don't know if you've seen the photo going around. The Lincoln team talk. Ryan Allsop was basically stood right next to them, just listening into everything that they were saying, as he should. 'Cause if they're gonna, I don't know. It's wasting time. It's like. It's so the officiating association they must know this is a thing, and in the moment they must be like, well, what else am I going to do? You asked me what
That's
should they do
that's a
about it. I don't really
that's a
know what they
bigger
should do
time
about it, but it's
wasting
not my
issue than the
job.
rule they're bringing in next year with the
Of the eight
goalkeepers.
seconds thing holding the
Yeah,
ball. Yeah,
how long's that
I
going to
just
last? Five
oh,
games?
but there's already the rule of I think it's six at the
I
minute,
thought it was
but
6 seconds anyway. Yeah.
yeah, they just don't enforce it at all. It's infuriating. There should be some sort of thing where I don't know. It's just. This will sound absolutely mental, but if the keeper's injured, maybe there should be some sort of thing like, well, you got to go off, and then an outfield player has to go in. I don't know. I know that's really not feasible, but something needs to be done about it anyway because it's really irritating. And everyone in the stands knows, okay, this is exactly this. We all know what it is. Um, yeah,
Drinks
very keen to see
break,
it.
toilet break, anyone?
It's just like it's so. Sometimes the players aren't even subtle about it. It's like the second that they can, they all run over for a team talk. It's really infuriating. I probably shouldn't get as annoyed about it as I do, but it's yeah, I'm not happy. So sort it out. FA, find a solution. It's your job to find a solution. Do something about it. Um, but yes, otherwise, good result. 1-0 against Lincoln. Not a classic. Very much like the Wycombe game, but I will take it all day long. Fair credit to Lincoln. They did a decent job. Defended fairly well against us for long periods. So yeah, that was us. But you played against Cardiff. What did I say, Cardiff? You played against. You won 1-0 away at Brentford last night.
We did, yeah. What a great win, a really important win if we want to try and get into Europe again next year, regardless of the competition. Mostly because we don't play another Premier League game this month. It's the only game in the Premier League we're playing in March.
Oh wow.
Because the Liverpool game's got moved for the cup final. So,
Oh, of course.
and then we've got the FA Cup quarter final at the end of the month and an international break. So it was huge win because effectively teams had 2 games on it. We kind of had 2 games on a lot of teams, which is now just one. A couple of results have gone our way this weekend. Obviously, Bournemouth have dropped points this afternoon away at Spurs. So Manchester City lost. Annoyingly, it was against Forest, but a few results went our way, and we're still in touch. And it's May. We've only lost 3 games in 2025, which goes back to maybe last episode when we're talking about does it feel like we're in a crisis because we're not really. And I do wonder if maybe we've had two back to back. We've won 3 games in a row in 3 different competitions. 2 of them away from home. We kept a clean sheet of all things in 2 of those games. Okay, one of them was against Cardiff, but Robin Olsen kept a Premier League clean sheet away at Brentford last night. I mean, oh my God. Like, all the prayers were answered. Not that Brentford really threatened him too much. They had chances, but if you got a goalkeeper in goal who doesn't save shots, what would you do as a striker? Have
Yeah.
lots of shots, which they didn't do. So hey, it is what it is. A great win. Ollie Watkins with the goal. He's now 3 goals off becoming our record Premier League goal scorer. So hopefully he's going to do that this season. I really, really hope he does. As he closes in on Gabiab on Lahore's record. Um, but a brilliant win. It was a very much a 22-23 Unai Emery Aston Villa performance. We were defensively solid, and I don't remember.
22, 23.
Yeah, 2022-23.
How long's he been at Villa now? Has he been there that long?
Yeah.
Wow, blimey, well,
He
that's
he
bad.
he became our manager 2 weeks before the World Cup started.
Blimey, wow, gosh. At first, I didn't know if you thought that was this season. I was like, no, sorry. Anyway,
Yeah.
I was like, no way has he been there that long. Blimey, timely.
Yeah, I know. Um, but yeah, so it was one of the performance very akin to that year where we went away from home and we were really defensively solid and ground out a result. And it felt like, oh, I hope I'm not jinxing it, but it felt like a pivotal night for our season. And I'm pretty sure I said it in the preview to the season all the way back in August. Excuse me. We will start slow and we will end in the run in. We'll hit form in the run in. And I said for weeks, I've been going, when's it going to come? When's it going to come? And I think maybe now we're about to see it. So a really, really good win. Axel Disasi was unbelievable. He was fantastic. A rock at the back after a tricky game away at Bruges, but he was absolutely brilliant. And Robin Olsen did well under the circumstances. Um, you know, but I'm still not his biggest fan. But I'm glad he had a good game because ultimately, when he's wearing the shirt, we obviously want him to play well. But hopefully, Emi Martinez is back. I think the one thing that annoys me is you see a lot of people going, "See, you're all too harsh on Robin Olsen." It's like, well, a broken clock is right twice a day, Dan.
A very good way of putting it, indeed.
So
Um, cool. Should we move into housekeeping, Cal?
yeah,
Cool. Have you got much on the Villa end? Anything going on with you?
not
No.
really. I mean, there's been a bit of a not really. There's been people.
Yeah.
The Preston away tickets have caused the ticket criteria has caused a huge divide in the fan base between season ticket holders and members. But to be honest, I can't be asked to go into it. Ultimately,
Great podcasting, Cal. No, that's fair enough. It probably doesn't concern you all that much if
well, I could end up getting an away ticket,
sure.
but at the expense of maybe some season ticket holders. I don't know. If you go,
Is it to do with like the sort of because Blues had a similar thing where it was like if you'd been to like the Lincoln FA Cup game, that was a really high valued game. Is it similar stuff to that?
but basically, if members used to have a really good chance of getting cup tickets before Emery took charge. I was doing away games in the FA Cup and mostly the League Cup. So the last away game I'd done was the League Cup away at Old Trafford just before the World Cup. It was like Emery's second game, I think.
Hmm.
But obviously we've been on such a rise since then that the away tickets in demand has been huge, and so they've never gone to members. But for the FA Cup quarter final against Preston, members who'd been to all three home ties, which is West Ham, Spurs, and Cardiff, have priority over season ticket holders who have done none or one or two. And
Yeah.
so there's a balance in there somewhere. I think it's only caused if this was the third round of the cup, no one would care. But because people are worried about Wembley tickets potentially, it's caused a
Yeah.
bit of a ruckus.
Well, that segues quite nicely into the Blues housekeeping, and that is that. So we're recording this on Sunday. On Thursday, the Wembley tickets for the EFL Trophy went on sale. The EFL Trophy final went on sale, I should
Have
say.
you got yours?
I have got mine. Yes, we're all sorted. It went up to priority one. Went on sale for priority one on Thursday, which was like your season ticket holders with a certain number of away games, your platinum plus members, and so on. Then it went on sale to season ticket holders on Friday. We got all ours on Friday, which is fantastic. So we're all set. April 13th, we'll be there. Um, and they've given us a huge allocation, 36,000, which is massive actually. Peterborough have got about 10,000 less, interestingly, 26,000. Probably makes sense though. They probably
But
won't.
we know that from the final last year.
Yeah. And that's probably exactly what Peterborough took last year, maybe a little bit under that, maybe. Because they sold some in the upper tier, didn't they? So it
But it was
was
only like
quite
one or two blocks, not much more than
was
that.
it? It was a lot more than Wycombe anyway. Wycombe was the whole
Wycombe just
bottom
had the
tier
lower
and nothing
tier,
other than
yeah.
that. Interesting though, because we logged on and like the lower tier was pretty much gone completely for us. But we got some in the upper tier, so that's all good. And I mean, obviously 36,000, St Andrews only holds 30,000, so it's definitely going to go to some form of general sale. So, call to all Blues fans who haven't been able to get one yet and maybe waiting for general sale, you definitely got a chance. So definitely keep your eyes open for when it goes on general sale because you got a very good chance of getting one. So, yep, can't wait for the big day. So, yeah, really looking forward to that. That's
Do
pretty
you
much
know
all I
which
had on
side
the.
of Wembley you've got? Just
We're
to
in is it the west side? It's the same side that we were in when we won the Carling Cup. So the same we were in last year for the
uh
Wycombe Peterborough final. So I've only ever
that
sat in that
that's
end
my
actually.
favourite side of Wembley, in fairness. I
But
think
to
I've only
me,
been on the other side once, which was the FA Cup final.
because I've only been to Wembley three times. We did the stadium tour a few years ago. I say only, it's fine, we did the stadium tour. We did the League Cup final obviously in 2011, and then we did the EFL Trophy final last year. And so the actual two games I've been to have been down that end. So to me, that's just the normal end. To me, I've never actually
Yeah.
sat down the other end. So yeah, can't wait. Very much looking forward to that. Um, just a quick side note on ticketing as well. At Bolton, and this is not in any way a dig at the Bolton ticketing staff or anything. I actually thought they were dealing with it quite well and quite quick. Blues do a thing at away games this year where certain fans, I think it was to cut down on people buying tickets for other people, obviously, because allocations are so small for us in League One. I think it was to do with certain people are selected to pick their tickets up on the day at the stadium to cut
Yes.
down on
Yeah.
like say a platinum
All the
member
clubs
buying
do
it
that.
for yeah, which is fair enough. But maybe it's because I bought mine late as well. To be fair, I bought mine on I think Friday. And they said you'll be picking yours up on the day. I was like, that's absolutely fine. We got parked up at like what time is it? Quarter past seven, 10 past 7. The game didn't kick off till quarter 2, quarter to 8. As I mentioned, we were there like literally 2 seconds away, parked up. We got into the ground at like literally 7:44 because we were it was a little tiny booth and a massive queue of people waiting to pick up their tickets. Not a dig at the Bolton staff at all because they were getting through it as quick as they could. I'd imagine they'd probably been dropped in a situation. It's probably not their fault at all, but I think on like especially a night game where people are probably coming up after work or it's going to be tight. People aren't going to be in Bolton early out drinking or anything like that.
Yeah.
Maybe a more efficient system somehow needs to be put in because I hate missing kickoff at games and we were like
Oh
very
yeah.
close through no fault of our own. We got up to Bolton as quick as we could and diced it with the parking, and if we'd missed kickoff, that would have been like, what? Um, so yeah, again, not a dig at the bottom because I thought they dealt with it well, but yeah, when you get there, there's a massive queue, sets alarm
Oh
bells
yeah.
ringing a bit. Um, anyway, so that's everything with Blues. We have a very quick look at the other Midlands teams, Cal, if you like.
Yeah. Shall we start with Cov because they're the big story at the moment, aren't they?
Yes, well, they obviously Mark Robbins was back there yesterday with his Sturk team, and Cov won 3-2, a 97th minute goal again. They do like a late goal, Cov, and Frank Lampard's. I mean,
He's
Chelsea
the
don't know what they're
first.
missing
I
out
think he's
on.
yeah. He's like the first commentary manager to win 9 out of his first 10. Is it?
Yeah, it's absolutely remarkable the run that they're on. We were all. I know we've said before this happens every week, but I don't think you can take away credit from Lampard for the job he's doing there. Carver now 3 points clear. Just looking at the table now, 3 points clear of Bristol City in seventh. They've won five in a row in the league. I mean, they're probably not going to go any higher than fifth because they're now 12 points behind Sunderland in fourth. It's very much the top four and then the rest. But they're the best of the rest of the minute, and that is absolutely remarkable. And I think it's become a bit of a thing to hit to bash on like the golden generation as managers. Obviously
Golden
Rooney,
generation.
Gerrard, yeah, the golden generation. Like Rooney, Gerrard, Lampard. Lampard's really maybe this is just a good fit. It's really credit to him. He's done a really good job there. Um,
I mean, Frank Lampard's managerial career is it's been okay, I suppose. But he's out of all of them anyway. He was already comfortably the best out of all of them. I know Gerrard won the title at Rangers, but I mean it was the year Celtic were rubbish. So
Yeah, I think I think Rooney before he came to Blues had a bit of credit in the bank for what he, in tough
Yeah.
circumstances, done a good job at Derby. I remember when Rooney came to Blues, it wasn't like people were more annoyed that Eustace had left, not that Rooney
Yeah,
was
yeah,
coming
yeah.
in. But obviously that's all
But like
changed.
Lampard, he got Derby to the playoff final. His first season at Chelsea was actually really good.
Yeah,
Uh, they did okay in the Champions League, got to an FA Cup final. The second year was a disaster when they signed a boatload of players.
yeah,
And then Everton, I guess he kept Everton up, and
yeah. That's job to be fair, Everton, isn't it? Um, but cool. Cov are now one. I think they're 1 point above West Brom, who won yesterday though. They beat QPR at home. Adam Armstrong scored a penalty. Baggies actually did pretty well though because QPR, yeah, they're not obviously an amazing team. They probably expect to beat them at home, but Darnell Furlong actually got sent off right at the end of the first half, so Baggies had to do the whole of the second half with that. So yeah, Bristol City are right on their tails, and there's quite a few in that chasing pack. But if Mowbray gets them in the playoffs, deserves a lot of credit. That would be a really good achievement. I don't see them going up this year. I think there are better teams in the playoff mix, but credit to them for a decent home win. I saw a few of them on the train coming back, and they seemed satisfied enough. Wolves obviously were the Saturday night game. Drew 1-1 at home against Everton. What we're saying, Cal? I know it's Everton. They probably hope to beat them at home, but they're now 6 points clear of the
well,
relegation zone. So,
Everton under David Moyes have become like a super team. Only one team has beaten them since David Moyes took over, which
and
was,
we
of
don't
course,
care who it was. No.
which
Uh,
was Unai Emery's tricky villains. So,
yeah.
um,
And Bournemouth in
that
the FA Cup, you were there for that.
oh, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. Something about
We're
you.
talking about in the
Moyes
league.
just can't
Yeah,
deal with you.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think they'll take it. They're going to stay up now. The bottom three is pretty much the bottom three now because Ipswich
Yeah.
they had blew a bit of a golden chance the last couple of weeks. So
Yeah. And especially like being they were 1-0 down as well. Jack Harrison put Everton 1-0 up. So to pull it back before half time to 1-1 and then see the game out, don't think it's a bad result at all. I think they'll be absolutely fine now. Little irritating for me, even though I've got nothing against Wolves. I would have liked to play them in the Championship next year, assuming we go up. But ho hum, maybe the year after, who knows? And then finally, Warsaw. I don't know if you saw this, Cal. They lost 3-1 at home to Grimsby. So they're just tailing off a bit. Warsaw, not 1 in 4 now after a really strong season so far. They're on 68 points. I think. Let me just double check this. I think they're 8 points clear of the. So 8 points clear of the playoffs still. So they should be absolutely fine. Let me double check. Yep, 8 points clear of Wimbledon in fourth. Although Wimbledon do have a game in hand, so you never know. But it looked at one point like they were going to absolutely run away with the league. They might not even win the league now. I think they're only 2 points clear. Yep, 2 points clear of Bradford in second, and Bradford, as I've seen at Blues, are a decent team. So yeah, disappointing. Be interested to see if they can hang on. They've got about 10 games left. Good luck to them, but looks like the league momentum may be with other teams at the minute. Yeah, 3-1 loss to Grimsby at home, not amazing. But that's the other Midlands teams, and I'm quite conscious this episode's running quite long.
yeah,
So shall we just have a very quick look forward to what's coming up this week, Carl?
yes. So we've only got one game this week because I think
Okay.
it's the is it the League Cup
You're not
final
playing
next
because it's
week?
Liverpool. Yeah, yeah, of course.
Yeah. So it's only Bruges, and I kind of already spoke about it. Great opportunity. Don't mess it up. Villa Park's going to be bouncing. Lots of fireworks. Excited to see whatever tifo we have for this for this match. And yeah, I think we'll win anyway. We spoke to some Bruges fans and some people that worked at the club when we were out there, and the vibe we very much got, and they kind of all didn't outright say it, but they felt like they had to win the first leg if they were going to go through. So, um, but I expect they'll bring a good following and they'll make a lot of noise in Villa Park. And I mean, yeah, I hope we win. We should win.
I,
So
I say this not to be controversial. Bruges are the best away fans I've ever seen at Blues. They were unreal. We played them when we played them in the Europa. It was 2-2. They were 2-0 up though, and we pulled it back to just great game for a game that we didn't win. It was an amazing game, and they had like pretty much the whole of the lower Gilmerick from my memory. I think that could be wrong, but that's just how I remember it, you know.
yeah,
And they were unbelievable. So yeah, it'd be a great atmosphere, I'm sure. So yeah, that'd be a great night for you, I'm sure. Blues, just a quick one on Blues. Tuesday night we've got Stevenage at home. I don't think I can make it actually. I think I'm working that night. Unfortunately, it's a rare home game I'm missing. We haven't actually played them in the league at all because this is a game in hand that we've got, but we've got them again in the away leg very soon. But we did play them in the EFL Trophy away and already beat them this season. They're currently 12th in the league. Yeah, at home we're unbeaten at home all season with Allsop back, pretty confident. So probably be another 1 or 2 nil win, and watch me be wrong and be the one game I miss and we win 5-0 and Duke scores a hat trick off the bench. Really hope that doesn't happen, to be honest. Considering I can't go, I'd love a pretty dull 1-0. That's kind of what I'm hoping for. And then next weekend away, we're away at Northampton, who we actually drew back in November. It was the week we got back from Las Vegas, actually.
Oh yeah.
We give away, we battered them and then conceded. Dion Sanderson made an error and then they scored in the last minute. So it won't be a league double even if we do win. They're currently 17th, not on a great run. Probably not going to go down though. Absolutely should be winning there, and I'm pretty sure we will as well. And one thing I learned from the Shrewsbury game, which we lost back in November, was the response was unbelievable. Obviously, we didn't lose in the league for months. I wouldn't be shocked if we do something similar now. I really don't. I think it's actually probably quite a bad time to be playing us. Last push before I think we'll get the international break off. I think because we'll probably have a few players go on international duty. We've had every other one off, so I assume so. If so, my message as Chris Davies would be just get through these few games, lads, and then you got a week off, so keep pushing. And I think that is pretty much us for this week, Cal.
Yeah, we'll just wrap it up there. Like, share, subscribe, follow us on whatever you're listening or watching to us on. 5-star reviews, thumbs up. And yeah, I'll catch you next week down and up the Villa.
Shit on the Villa. Thanks, Cal. Keep right on, and I'll see you next time. Enjoy the game.